Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention? The presentation is about to begin. To Honorable Dr. Ann Jamaludin, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. First of all, I would like to welcome you all to this webinar. In this occasion, we would like to have a webinar from IMARET and Relationary. So before we begin, allow me to introduce the presenter, Dr. Ann Jamaludin. She is a registered counselor and public health specialist. And after her will be Dr. Nur Ashkin Ibrahim. She is a public health physician, mental health advocate, and IMARET volunteer. Without further ado, I would like to welcome presenter to deliver the presentation. All right, Dr. Ann, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to everybody. Thank you, Ridwan, for the introduction, and Assalamualaikum. Good morning, everybody. So for today's topic, I will be talking more about healthy relationship versus unhealthy relationship. So this is a very, I'd say, very good talk for those who are currently in a relationship or currently in a marriage or currently engaged or and so on and so forth. Yeah, so it's something for us to kind of listen and reflect upon as well, because there's a lot of information that I wanted to share this morning as well. Okay, first and foremost, I'd like to kind of give a bit of an overview in terms of the definition of a relationship that is healthy. Okay, because every relationship is different, but there are a few aspects where we can look for when we have a good and healthy relationship. Okay, so first and foremost, the relationship itself should be based on equality, respect, and trust. Okay, there should not be any imbalance in the relationship where both parties are at an equivalent or at the same level in terms of the relationship itself. Therefore, whenever there is an imbalance in terms of power, in terms of decision making and things like that, it should be discussed together by both parties. Okay, but we all have to be very mindful that there is no relationship that is perfect. We have to basically think that every relationship needs to be worked on. It didn't start off being 100% as what we wanted, but it's the amount of effort and it's the amount of work that we put and we invested into the relationship that makes it work. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the important aspects that we should have, or at least I'm not saying that every relationship should have it, but at least work towards it. Okay, that's when we see whether or not our relationship is healthy or vice versa. Okay, when we talk about equality, there should be a point where yourself, your partner, your family, or your friends should look at each other as equal contributors or equal partners in that relationship. Okay, where everybody is on the same level. Nobody is above the other, where the any discussions or anything should be shared upon and should be discussed with each other. Okay, mutual respect of each other is also very important as well, because we're all unique individuals. Okay, and we should be able to respect another person's opinions, our partner's opinions on things. We may not be agreeable with some of this opinion, but it doesn't mean that we should not listen out to their concerns or their thoughts or what they think about certain things. Okay, this is how we show that we are an active listening partner, and that we do take their opinions into consideration as well. So it makes our partner feel that they're being heard. At least they're being heard, as opposed to being brushed aside without even have the opportunity to say their thoughts and what they think about certain things. Okay, the third aspect that's also very important in a healthy relationship is that communication. Usually a lot of a lot of couples that come for therapy session or counseling, or clients that I do see, that most of the time there's a breakdown in communication where their partners, husband and wife, are not talking to each other, or you are not able to talk to your partner in that sense. Okay. The only time they're talking is that when they're discussing about simple things like, oh, what do you want to eat, where would you like to go, to get stuff for the house. Just simple things, but not so much about communicating why, for example, we are not spending enough time, quality time together. What are the things that we can plan to have that good, productive time together as spouses, or as partners in a relationship. Okay. But the most important thing about the aspect of communication is that you should feel comfortable when you're expressing your thoughts, ideas, and feelings. Okay. And you should be feeling safe when you are communicating these thoughts that you have. And when there's disagreement in any kind of discussions, or when talking about specific things, there should be a way where it is a very constructive, where you are not criticizing your partner. It's more of saying that, oh, I do agree with what you say, but I also have my own opinions. Let's try to work this out together and see if we can find a common ground where we both agree on how to decide regarding, let's say, how we want to uh, purchase a new house, or if we want to decorate our place, the home itself, or a place to go for a holiday, or or other things as well. So it should be in a way where it's not causing a lot of the words that I use as well is not being hurtful, and the criticism is very more on towards a very building type of criticism, and very constructive, as opposed to demeaning and making the other person feels lesser compared to you. Okay. And trust, we always talk about trust, and most of the time couples who comes in for therapy, they always have trust issues with their partner. Okay. So trust is, we all keep saying that only I need to be able to trust you in order for me to be with you for the rest of my life. I can't be with somebody whom I cannot trust. So we always say that trust is very difficult to get. We have to work really hard to gain a person's trust, but it's so easy to break. One incident could just break the trust for the rest of your life, and it takes you longer time to actually build that trust again. So being able to trust your partner or your spouse, is definitely a key to a healthy relationship, where there needs to be a consistency in terms of how you reassure your partner that you are to be trusted, even though even through your behavior as well, like saying that you're going to work, and that you're calling your partner to say, I've just arrived at work, hope you have a good day, or things like that. So it puts your partner's mind at ease as well. But it also has to be reciprocated in a way that both parties are also doing the same thing. It's not just one person who's trying to show or prove their trust, but the other person has to also play a very important part in also gaining that trust and also building that trust together. So both of you have to work hand in hand to build this trust, because you are in a long time journey together. So you need to be feeling comfortable and feeling building that trust together. Okay. The next important aspect in a relationship is that, in terms of responsibility and accountability, being responsible towards your own effort, or towards the things that you make decision of, is very important. It shows accountability. And whenever something didn't go right, and you were the person that made the decision to do it that way, and things doesn't go right, it's good to own up to what you did wrong. And then it's easier to own up that you did something wrong, you made a mistake, and you didn't make the right decisions, and that you ask for for forgiveness in that sense, because we're not perfect as human beings. We can't, foresee what's going to happen. So whatever decision we make is the best decision at that point in time. But if it didn't turn out the way it did, it's good to kind of take responsibility and say, I accepted it was my fault, and you ask, you apologize, that rather than blaming on the other people, and that causes a lot of friction as well. Okay, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that you have to constantly check in or report to the other person saying that, oh, do you think I should, do it this way, or do you think I should do it that way? Because you're so scared to make the wrong decision. You should be trusting your own decision in that sense, because you are the best person to make that decision. You can inform your partner of your decision, but at the same time, you don't have to constantly checking with your partner. It doesn't show. It shows that you're quite dependent on your partner. Just take more responsibility, and I'm sure your partner appreciate that as well. In terms of support, in any relationship, having a very supportive partner is very, very important, because you want to be able to encourage each other to grow together, and also to grow separately as well. It's not because maybe you have different interests, you have different, ways of doing things, and you want to grow yourself individually in that sense. But at the same time, you always come together as a team, as a unit, to build this life together in this long-term journey. So, it doesn't mean that you have a partner, you shouldn't be, foregoing your dreams or your goals. You can still, go for, like, for example, you want to continue with your studies, but you know that you're married, you have a child. But if your partner is very supportive, your partner will also help you in a way to find, how best to move forward for you to, fulfill your dreams or continue your study and things like that. And that's very important, because a supportive partner, a positive partner, is very important in you, in achieving your own personal goal, apart from achieving the main goal for your own family as well with your partner. Okay, and this support goes from, during good times, and also most importantly during difficult times, where your partner will always stand by you when you're going through a really tough time. And it can make you or break you at that point in time, because having a supportive partner really helps you to get through these really challenging times in your life. Okay, honesty obviously is very important. It's best that you can be as honest as possible with your partner. So most of the time, you don't really try to hide things from your partner, because that creates a lot of suspicions. Hence, it leads to distrust as well. So try to be as honest as possible with your partner, and be transparent in the relationship. Boundaries has always been an issue with people, especially those who are coming into a relationship for a first time. They may not understand there are certain personal boundaries that should be respected at all time. For example, if you're working from home and you need to have a specific time where you have to work in your own office at home, and then your partner should not be constantly like coming in and bothering you with certain things, or when you want to have your own me time, where you want to wind down, you want to do things that you really like, for example, playing your games, or watching your favorite Netflix series or things like that, which your partner doesn't really share that same hobby, I would say, to wind down. Then you can explain to your partner, is it okay if I can just spend like an hour just catching up on my movies or my Netflix series and things like that. And you can also spend that time on doing your own thing. So they might be doing their DIY, or they might be playing with working out their programs or something like that. Okay, and that needs to be respected too. It's not just having your own me time, but sometimes you want to spend time with your girlfriends, or you want to spend time with your guy friends, and these are guys or girls that you knew back from high school, for example. And it would be really weird to bring your spouse into it, because if, for example, the girls would just want to meet up and catch up at all times, and then bring your spouse, kind of like be a little bit weird. So if your spouse is very supportive in that sense, you would be able to have, a good time spent with your girlfriends, and then also have time to spend with your spouse as well, and they will be respectful of that as well. Also very important is that feeling safe in a relationship. Again, if you're not feeling safe, feel meaning that you feel threatened or you feel intimidated in your relationship, then you need to reflect on why is that happening, because you need to feel good, you need to feel secure, you need to feel safe when you're in a relationship with somebody else. So what aspects, why is that you're not feeling that way in your relationship? There must be reasons to it. So you need to address that with your partner if you don't feel safe in that relationship, or you feel intimidated, or you feel you're fearful of your partner. Okay. We've talked about having a healthy relationship. So what happens when we don't have a healthy relationship? What could be the aspects that could contribute to this relationship not being healthy? So obviously, because of communication breakdown, you're difficult for you to talk about hard topics. For example, for some couple who are in a relationship, they've been together for quite some time, the topic of getting married could be a very difficult topic that the other partner might not feel comfortable talking about or not ready talking about, so that topic gets avoided, and this can cause a lot of animosity or feeling like unfinished or uncertainty by the other partner that wanted some clarification in regards to that. Okay. And when there's misunderstanding or disagreement, it was never discussed, it was never addressed. So it just keeps on accumulating throughout the relationship until at one point, something triggered an argument, and everything else that was not addressed came out. So it could be, a full-blown argument that could lead to breakdown of the family, or breakdown of the relationship that it's very difficult to come back to. Okay. um, Again, we talked about honesty in a healthy relationship. Being dishonest is also something that could, continually erode the relationship, because if your spouse or your partner is continuously or repeatedly lying or not being honest with you at all time, it's very difficult for you to trust your partner. Again, it's very difficult to tell what is truth and what is not. So moving forward, then it will be difficult for the relationship to grow or flourish in that sense. um, Disrespect in a relationship, it can come in many different ways. For example, name calling, disrespecting personal boundaries, constantly questioning and checking in with your partner. Where are you going, who are you seeing, and constantly calling on your phone and checking where they are all the time can be quite taxing and can be quite difficult as well for the partners who's being checked upon. And the most difficult part is when your partner or your spouse is actually criticizing you for everything that you do. Okay, from the way you cook, from the way you clean, from the way you decorate the place, the house, the home, or the way you dress. It can have an impact on you, especially psychologically. Okay, I'll talk a little bit more about from this unhealthy relationship, where could it go from here onwards, okay, if this continues. The next one is dependence, where the spouse or partner become too dependent on the other person. Okay, so as an individual in a relationship, you need to also have a certain level of independence where you can make your own decisions, where you can do your own thing. Okay, but when you are constantly, or if you are at this moment dependent on your spouse, either financially, emotionally, psychologically, it could show that you do have a form of attachment that's difficult for you to kind of find your own independence. In that sense, you're too dependent on your partner, where it can also lead to an unhealthy relationship. Other aspects of unhealthy relationship is jealousy. Obviously, we know for a fact as a human being we have emotions, and when you do have a partner, there will be some sort of jealousy of the partner if you see your partner getting too friendly with somebody from the opposite gender. But when it becomes too much, it becomes excessive and it becomes possessive, then the jealousy can take over the relationship, where for the other person it can be quite suffocating and it can be quite challenging for them to address as well. They don't feel the freedom of feeling good being that relationship. Manipulation also can take many forms. It can come in a form of mind games, where a partner tries to manipulate the other person to forego what they want, their desires or their needs. Or sometimes they're using the guilt trip to manipulate the other person, okay, saying that, oh, if you're not doing this for me, it means that you don't love me. So if you want to go out with your friends and you don't want to spend time with me, it means that you care much more about your friends than me, but you're married to me. Something like that, where you can use different ways to manipulate your partner to make them feel guilty and for them to, stop doing what they wanted to do because they feel the need to be there for you. Okay. Criticism, yes, there's often we find that in a relationship where the partner criticizes the other person, and it can come in many different ways. Like I said, it can be in the form of the way you dress, the way you talk, the way you present yourself. So it can be anything. It's just that how much criticism and how often that's happened, and and also the types of words being used to criticize the other person. Okay. The last one I wanted to talk about in terms of aspects of unhealthy relationship is isolation. Okay, this is often used by people who manipulate and make their victims or make the partner dependent on them. It started off by slowly cutting off their ties to any support networks, like for example, cutting off ties with your own family, and then cutting off ties with your friends, with their relatives. So in a way that they have more control and they're able to exert their power on the other person, where the other person become very extremely dependent on them. So because of that, they have control over their partner's life, I would say, and everything that decision that they make and do uh, is not in any discussion with their partner. It's them. So this is where I say, there is a power imbalance where one becomes more authority, having more authority and more dominant in that relationship. So remember, I talked about healthy relationship just now. Having balance, equivalent balance in a relationship is very important. So when this power imbalance tilted to one side, the person who have more dominant and more power in that relationship would be the person who have more control, hence will dictate how the relationship would go. And this is where we say, it can lead from an unhealthy relationship to an abusive relationship. So in summary, basically, relationship exists in a spectrum from a healthy relationship to an unhealthy relationship, from an unhealthy relationship with all those aspects that I've talked about. How is it that it can tilt or leaning towards an abusive relationship? Okay, when I say about power imbalance just now, all those things become severe, becomes to the extreme, that unhealthy relationship can become an abusive relationship. And when we talk about abusive relationships, since we don't really have much time to talk about that today, what I'm going to say is that most abusive relationship leads to domestic abuse or domestic violence. And we know for a fact that domestic violence is a crime in Malaysia, and that victims of abuse most of the time don't realize that they've been victimized, and the impact on their mental health and their psychological and well-being is also quite detrimental as well. So let's take a time to reflect on, if you are in a relationship or if you're in a marriage, to reflect on where does our relationship in our marriage sits within the spectrum. Is it a healthy relationship? Is it an unhealthy relationship? Or is it, going towards an abusive relationship? So if you feel like you are within any of the spectrum and you are comfortable and you're happy in a relationship, and that's great. But if you feel there's areas in your relationship that can be worked on, that's even better. Try to address it with your spouse or your partner, and then try to work it through to improve that relationship. Or if you feel like you're in an abusive relationship and you feel like you're not able to get out of it, then maybe it's time for you to actually put your hand out and ask for help or reach out for help. Okay, so that's pretty much what I wanted to talk today. So thank you so much for listening, and thank you for attending this webinar. So I'll stop sharing.
Thank you so much, Dr. N.
Yep.
That was a very interesting topic to talk about, and it's very in-depth, and how you place a lot of aspect into this webinar. It's very, very good. And I do
Thank you.
have a few questions for you, especially when it comes down to relationships, right?
Mhm.
Um, oh, and by the way, questions are open now, so you guys may ask, and if you have any uh, sort of uh, personal questions or asking for a friend kind of questions. So you guys can actually just post it up on your comments, all right? So one thing of the questions I would like to ask is about trust. You know, once a couple actually start to lose its trust, can you actually gain it back? And if so, how do you can gain that trust back?
Okay, this is quite a common question, I would say. This is something that a lot of couples that I've had to have sessions with, where trust is also a main issue, where the partner has broken the trust of the other party. Yeah, so to work through this again, both parties needs to sit down and discuss, what aspects of the trust that has been broken, and for the person who had broken the trust, what is expected from them in order to gain that trust. Because this needs to be, again, it's very subjective, depends on the relationship and how long has it been. So the person who felt that they've been betrayed because the partner has broken their trust, so this partner needs to discuss with the other partner, saying that I don't trust you, so in order for you to gain my trust again, I need to be able to know that you're being honest with me every single time. So this needs to be worked out between both of them. So, and it needs to also be a point where it's something that the person who is distrusting, I would say, need to be able to achieve as well. Because sometimes a person, when they haven't established to what extent they need some commitment from the other partner to work on in order to gain the trust, then the list can go on and on and on. Okay, so they need to establish, okay, what is it that they need to first focus on in order to achieve that trust with each other. And it's not just from the person who had caused the distrust, but also from the partner who had been betrayed. And it needs to be reciprocal as well. So both parties need to also bring together on the table what they can do to build that trust together. Okay, it's one thing to break a trust, so that person needs to work harder, but it's one thing to work on the trust together as a couple, because you are in this journey together and you need to grow together, and it needs to be again balanced. Both parties need to work, not just the one that created the distrust.
All right.
Yeah,
Okay. That's it's very hard to take back that trust there
it is it's
once
not
you lost
easy.
it. So do be careful, people.
Yeah, and I'm not saying
So
that you can't gain the trust. You can still gain the trust, but it takes a little bit more effort, and depends on the person who is the one that being distressed on. Yeah, as well.
I think that question sort of relates to the idea of disrespecting when you actually mentioned before in your talk how they do not appreciate boundaries, and with that, it requires trust from the other party. Is that right?
Correct. And
So,
to you need to be respectful of your partner. If you keep, being dishonest, you lose that trust, and at the same time, you don't show respect towards your partner. To be honest with them, that's also, yeah, it's all interrelated.
so how do you garner that trust if per se that you are the one being distrusted of or disrespected of? How do you garner that trust for them?
Um, I guess again, you need to address it with your partner. What is it that your partner wants from you? What do you need to do to gain that trust? If they say, okay, from now on, I want you to, just, call me in the morning, or, telling me where you are, so I know that you're safe. I know that you're at work. Small, small little things. But these are the things that needs to be established. With the other person, because like I said, this list of things that you need to fulfill to gain the other person's trust can be an infinite list. So it must be something that can be achievable, and it's something that also help the other person to slowly gain their trust. You're not just trying to build the list of them to fulfill in order for them to gain the trust, just to get vengeance. Okay, now that you want to get back into the relationship, I'm going to make you work for it. You're going to do this and this and this. Make sure that you don't go out after 9 o'clock. You can't call your friends. It can be anything. But at the same time, the partner also needs to be sensible as well. You're not trying to punish your partner for the things that they do, but you just want them to realize that, being honest is very important, and trust is very important, and it should be put in up high. So you need to put a lot of work in it. So for you to invest in that relationship, it shows your commitment. So if this person is wanting to do all of this for you to gain back that trust, then it shows that this person is willing to invest and commit in that relationship, and that should carry some weight as well into that relationship.
That's, okay, that's a heavy responsibility there to be in a relationship. So, thank you so
Yes.
much for sharing. Is there any questions from the viewers? If you guys want to ask anything regarding to the uh, presentation. So, uh, so while waiting for the questions, I do have another question
Okay.
about honesty.
Mm.
So, how honest should you be to your partner, and how much honesty is um, because sometimes honesty can lead to a lot of fights, right? A lot of
Mm.
miscommunication. Sometimes their honesty is not thought of. So, how honest should people be when it comes to relationship?
um I get to be honest, being honest should be the upfront, and being transparent in the relationship should be, the first thing. You should know who your partner really is. If you're not being true to yourself, you're not being transparent, you're not being honest to your partner, then it's just going to be difficult for you to know who is this person. Most of the time when we're, right, let's say, like, you got to know your partner for like a few months. You go on dates and I get to know that person, da da da, you feel like you know that person. But when you marry that person and then you live in one house with this person, this is when you see a different side of the other person, and you're like, I don't know this person from, how come I didn't know this? How come you like this? How come you like that? So you don't really truly know that person until you've been with that person, you've lived with that person, you know this person's routine, and then you know this person, their pet peeves and things like that. So it is an ongoing thing. So being honest on most of these things up front helps to also prepare your partner on what to expect in that relationship. And if you keep on, keeping certain things to yourself, there must be something, unless it is something really personal, it's something that, very traumatizing, that you do not want to bring into the relationship. But to be, um most of the time this will come up anyway. So it's best to be upfront with your partner, you know, whatever it is that you kept to yourself as a secret or things like that, to see whether they're able to accept it, or they're able to accept you, because we don't know, people comes with many different histories and whatnot and things like that, trauma or whatever it is. You know, if you're being honest, they're able to accept it, then they can be there to support you. So at some points, sometimes we do have some white lies here and there. I'm not saying that, you know, in a marriage or in a relationship you don't have this sort of white lies. We do have it, but usually, you know, I don't encourage white lies, because a
Yeah,
lie is a lie. You know, it can build up to a much more lies, I would say. So I learned throughout my own personal experience in my own marriage. I've been married for 22 years. So it's not a perfect, I would say, it's not a perfect
yeah.
marriage. We're
It's
still we're still going through that, you know, up and down, up
yes,
and
of
down.
course.
But the most important thing is that we're always upfront.
That's
Sometimes
right.
you do argue. It's okay to argue. At least when you argue, you know what the other person's feeling, you know what the other person is not happy about. So at least they're talking, at least they're expressing. So it's when the argument doesn't have a solution, it's not a discussion, it's just
Yes,
a bouts of temper flares and name calling and stuff
yes,
like that. That's when, you know, it's not a really good kind of communication. But arguing
yes,
is a form of communication. It's how you express, is how you bring into the table what are your disagreements and what are your grievance, what are the things that you're not happy about. At least you are talking, as opposed to suppressing everything and keeping everything to yourself. I
that's
know
right.
in
I
our,
mean,
yeah, Asian culture, right, men don't like to
yeah, no, we don't, honestly.
very
But
scary.
I, but yeah, I guess when it comes to honesty, you can't really truly be honest sometimes. But it's best that you can be honest, as honest as possible, and try to be lenient with your words and be communicative, and try to make the person understand rather than try to generate more
Correct.
emotional anger. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's it for couples. So thank you so much, Dr. Anne,
Yep.
for talking about this. It's not an easy topic. It's a very big topic, and you have done very well. So
Thank
I
you,
thank you very
Ridwan.
much for it.
Thank you
All
for
right.
having me today. It's been really nice, and I hope that you all can benefit to with some of the things that we talked about today. And please do some self-reflection on your own relationship, and see where you are, see how you can improve if you feel like there's a room to improve. Because we're all still learning, we're still like, you know, managing our own boat, you know, in this kind of relationship. So it's good to take good things and then work on the things that are, you know, not doing so well, and improve on that.
Everyone is to improve. So thank you very much for that, Dr. Anne. I'm sure they will appreciate it.
Okay.
So thank you, Dr. Anne. All right. So now we will bring out the next speaker. I would like to introduce you Dr. Adnur Ashikin. She is a public health physician and mental health advocate and an IMARET volunteer. Here she is. Without further ado, I would like her to, so Dr. Anne, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Very good morning. Rizwan ke? Yep. And I think the other speaker's name was also Dr. N. My nickname is N. Okay. I think today, Rizwan, I can't see you. Is it all right? Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah,
All
I think I better have you on stage too, because at
right.
least it motivates me too. Okay, Assalamualaikum. I'm actually Dr. Nurashikin Ibrahim, or you can call me Anne. I'm also an IMARET member, but I am currently working in the Ministry of Health as a head sector for mental health, violence, injury, and substance abuse. So I think today, actually, when Rizwan called me, I think was in the early of September, and he has actually given me some choice to ask, because most of the time I talk on mental health, and today I think we're going to touch a little bit on, I think the topic is healthy family dynamics versus unhealthy family dynamics. So we're talking about family, and I think one of the most important thing when we relate to family is also talking about relationship. So it is as much as so much very relevant to what the previous speaker, Dr. N. Jamaludin, was saying. Okay, when you talk about family, so basically when we talk about each family has a different characteristic. Every family is different. So one of the things that a lot of people outside there love to compare is like, can we mix the bahasa, or we have a lot of foreigners here, Rizwan?
You can mix if you want.
Okay, so basically kalau dalam bahasa Malaysianya kata family dia dengan family I tak sama. Kenapa family dia macam tu? Kenapa family I macam ni? So people start to compare, and you always tend to compare with your own expectation. So most of the time, if you ask anyone, are you happy with your family? It's going to be like a pause. When are you really happy with the family? And sometimes things like people would be saying, I wish she was my mom, or I wish he was my dad, or I wish you were my brother. So that kind of wishing when we talk about characteristic of family. Yeah? So certain characteristics that healthy family shares. Yeah, that means if you look at different family, no matter is in terms of constructiveness, it can be what I can say is that it is a healthy family are the ones that we can say that most of the time provide support in terms of encouragement and in terms of empathy. So although each family may be different, there might be similarities in this kind of healthy family. So the quality of the relationship in a family is so much important, more way important than even of the structure itself. Maksudnya the configuration. Most of the time we find that hold on. Okay, my computer is having low battery. Hold on. Okay, so most of the time that we find in a structure of a family, it depends. So some family, what we call as one unit, dia tak ada extension. That means they are not, some of us are actually staying in one house, but we have probably 9 people there. I initially came from an extended family, for example, and the challenges of an extended family is different. Okay, as compared to a family whereby probably you have one father, one mother, and a child, or probably a few child, not having their grandparents living with them, or even another helper or maid. So it's a different structure altogether, but the characteristics may be the same. So as I said, in a family relationship, we look at four important components. Yeah, I always believe that communication is the essence of a healthy family. Good communication, not bad communication. Good communication, and the number 2 would be probably things like, for example, how committed are you with your family? How do I say? How deep is your relationship with your own family? Family can be many things. Like I would actually say even cats would be our family. For some people, cats, yes, cats. Kalau kata, I would share you some of the stories that I have. The third one is actually spending time in terms of quality, spending quality time together. Ini important, is very very important. Spending time, it doesn't mean that the more time that you spend, the quality is higher. No, it is not necessarily be like that. Yeah? Respect each other, that's one of the most important thing. So when you go to communication, so engaging in a meaningful and positive communication. Macam mana kita kata positive communication is the art of listening. So this is the essence of a healthy family. The art of listening. the parents would be listening to the children. If you talk about parents lah, because kalau kita tengok there are few one maybe take different structures. Satu, that means one is the family that has a parent, mother, father, and then you have children. Okay, the other one can actually have a single mother atau single father raising the child because of divorce and things like that. Their possible understanding about relationship and family would be different. The other one would be probably an extended family. You know, you have grandfathers, grandmothers, you even live with your uncle. Some actually has family, they don't even have kalau you kata sebatang kara. To them, I always think that friends, good friends, you know, are also the part of the family. And the other ones are the family that has also pets. You know, pets macam, especially cats, I think. That would be one of the things when you talk about healthy family. So ini semua is very, very interrelationship. So the relationship is there. So when you talk about meaningful communication, so basically at every level, the family members are able to share your thoughts. They are able to share your goals. You are able to share your accomplishment. You know, bila contohnya when you talk about good communication, kadang-kadang very simple lah in healthy family. Maybe the ones who are watching are the young ones, you know, so sometimes they don't talk to their parents, you know, they go up and then they just shove their doors. And it's also up to the parents to be able to learn about good communication with teenagers. So that is important. Dalam masa terdekat ni, I'm not going to say how you're going to do it, but basically those are the things. Because basically like me, I have 3 teenagers. So one probably has gone into the adult phase. You know, I have 2 that is above 22 years old. One is 25, one is about 22, 23. The other one is only 15. So basically, when you talk about communication, as a parent, you've got to unlearn the way of parenting. So this is when you talk about good communication. So sometimes, as parents, you need to reach out to your children. You cannot be expecting them to duduk sini bercakap, duduk sini, duduk sini dengar. You are not, basically when you say dengar or when you say listen, you ask your children to listen, you are not listening to them. You're not listening to their heart. You're not actually asking them, things like, for example, hey, if you actually, this is actually so much related to mental health, because mental health is also about feeling good about yourself, feeling good about being with other people, and able to take life challenges. So most of the times when you talk about family relationship or healthy family relationship, it's not that they don't go through struggles. Ini kadang-kadang struggles, So struggles mean sometimes, in the healthy relationship, kalau kita nak tengok the ideal part of way of good communication, of course everything is nice. But sometimes when you want to actually how do I say, tegur, in English, you just want to say something to your parents or to your mom or to your dad, which you may think actually, in the old school of thought, the parents would say, kurang hajarnya cakap macam tu. But sometimes, you need to have that communication to actually be able to express yourself in a positive way. So basically, Mommy, I think today your voice is a little bit high, you are shouting, Mommy, are you stressed? Or are you okay? Macam tu. So sometimes we've got both ways. Jadi macam parents pun, you have to unlearn and learn about parenting. You have to learn about good communication, especially the communication to, if you sit on a table to communicate, you can agree to disagree. That is good communication. So basically, you agree to disagree. I don't agree with you, when you say that to him, for example, a father is actually condemning the son. For example, malas lah apa kan. So basically, you need to understand that at that point of time, sometimes the other parent cannot challenge at that point of time. But you cannot say, don't say like that, that is not good communication. But basically, yeah, he may actually be be perceived as, looked as maybe lazy, you know, now that, but he's doing other things, you know, we aren't you doing other things, you know, so something like that. So basically, in a communication, you need to be able to share the feelings. You know, I am feeling so down today because you are not helping me to throw the rubbish. So you can express that, you know. Now I have work to do, the sister said. I have work to do. Okay, but can we actually discuss on task, delegation of tasks at home, especially now kan masa PKP hari tu, I'm sure a lot of people are actually fighting over who does what at home. Betul kan? So that is one. Commitment to the family. I always feel that family comes first. Yes, you need to actually prioritize your family, but at the same time be able to balance between your work. Okay. Sometimes being a person who advocates on mental health, being a person who actually talks a lot about mental health, being me, it is not as simple when people just ask me, you know, how do I balance my work? You know, how do I, in the middle of coming back very late at home at night, going to the work so early? I can tell you that when you talk about family relationship, there must always be a support and a commitment. So commitment meaning to say that as a mother, every day you have to communicate with your child. Now there is no alasan. Dia tak ada, there shouldn't be any alasan or any yang kata apa, how do I say, reasons for you not to communicate with your child. Because why? Kita ada handphone, kita ada Instagram, kita ada WhatsApp especially. You can always, I'm sure everybody has a family group, almost everyone. So I hope if you don't, please ensure that you can have apa daily communication there. You know, just to ask, you know, have you eaten? Benda-benda macam tu saja, very simple. You know, asking your children and your husband, have you eaten? Have you had lunch? You know, so in terms of commitment to the family, especially when your family member is in the middle of crisis ataupun in the middle of feeling down, you know. As a parent, I would say that probably different people have different ways of actually managing their own stress. And a lot of people say, you don't teach me about how to manage my family, you know. But sometimes bila kita tengok, kalau kita tengok what is the healthy family structure, what is the unhealthy family structure. Unhealthy family structure is when parents themselves are not giving the chance to the children to even communicate their feelings to them. So that's one. You know, denying, ni perkaranya, denying the fact that my family has a problem. You know, so when you talk about commitment to the family, they are dependable on each other in the sense that in times of crisis, ini important. Okay, for example, okay, let's take one family. You know, the teenage usually boils up their feelings. They don't talk to their parents. They don't talk to elders. You know, they talk to their friends. You know, and suddenly the friends say, you know, if your family is so toxic, why not you just run away? Yeah, and the particular probably teenage immediately did that. You know, and it became like a hoo-ha crisis. Okay, and looking at that, parents must come to realize, or parents ataupun carers, carers I would say, must come to realize that there is something wrong here. You know, we will have to acknowledge that we do have a problem. You know, sometimes we are always looking at why the problem happened. We are not looking at how to solve the problem. Okay, so sometimes when you look at why the thing happened, there's a lot of things. A lot of us are exposed to trauma when we are small. You know, the way our parents parent us. You know, kalau dulu a lot of dads and moms ataupun fathers will always say, you know, kalau tok, if your grandfather doesn't beat me, I would not be a person like this. Why must you say that? You know, why must you compare? I don't believe in comparing. Yes, you know, that is the journey that your dad went through. It is not the journey that your children is going to go through. You know, so that is important. Commitment to the family in times of crisis. Kalau katakan anak tu lari dari rumah, find them. You know, not to be able to take them back and punish them as yet. but to be able to find out why did she actually ran away from home, why did she actually do not want to talk to you, so change your modus operandi. Kalau for parents, that's why I always say that in achieving, I would say that we do not have a very apa orang kata beautiful model of a healthy family dynamic, tapi let's go towards achieving that healthy family dynamic. The other one is spending time together. So sometimes going back to the definition of mental health, mental health is about finding your potentials. It's a situation where somebody or an individual realizes your potential, be able to cope with the normal stresses of life every day. Tapi as you can see, Rizwan and viewers, most times we are given challenges almost every day. So sometimes on certain days we are able to cope. Previously we may be able to cope, but with the pandemic, maybe our coping is challenge and we are not being able to cope with the normal coping mechanisms. So kita kena find new ways, kena cari norma baru atau cara baru. So how do you spend quality time together? Doing the things that probably compromising on the hobbies of your partners. Macam tadi relationship, I'm sure that in each relationship they have struggles, ups and downs, and I would say that when you talk about healthy families, you tend to choose activities that may actually promote that the family is promote the closeness within the family members. Contohnya macam it can be that I have been married for like more than 26 years, and only probably for the past 3 years that both of us found that hiking is one of our passion. We can find passion in that. Hiking, walking together, going to see movies together, because we know that as time passes, your children will get bigger and they also have their own life. So you cannot be, you need to find time also with the family. That means eating outside together, or going for a picnic, playing badminton, going for a walk, going cycling, whatever things, doing Zumba together. Maybe, no, this is not my way, but okay, come, let's just do this for fun. And finding hobbies or finding the passion things, the things that you're passionate about together, that needs a lot of exploration. You need to talk. You need to talk. Sometimes when you ask, you don't even know if you talk about healthy family relationship, if you don't even know about your children's cravings or what your children love to buy, and you may not actually understand what is inside their mind or inside their heart. So basically, communication, always communicate, spending time together. And sometimes basically these activities can actually become a family tradition. For example, every weekend you go hiking in one of the mountains ke, kat mana-mana ke, or maybe not, maybe like even cooking together, finding new recipes, baking together. So benda-benda macam ni kadang-kadang kita kata that's why I kata you are different than me. Why is it my third son is different from my second son? Of course they are different. Tak ada yang sama. Okay? So basically, do not compare. Every person in the family has their role, and every person in their family is important. Okay? It's very important. So basically, if you have a family that is in the business, another sibling probably is a doctor, another sibling is probably a lawyer, another sibling would probably be just suri rumah, so when you come together as a family, because this family can actually be extended when the children are getting married. The children get married, katakan they bring another individual into the house that becomes the family member. So that also needs adaptation. So when you talk about healthy family dynamics, going towards it, you need to also, one of the fourth component is actually to respect each other. This is so important, to respect each other. Family members should be able to accept their weaknesses and their strength. Ni important. So sometimes kita find that in our, especially even my own family, we have cats, and we delegate who is actually bringing the cat to the vet, who's actually going to the poo, who's actually going to throw making sure that the cat takes medication whenever they are sick. It's already a part of the family. And basically also who in terms of the bagi makan, buang najis dan sebagainya, all these things you respect. Kalau yang tu tak boleh, ada separuh tu bila dia bau je najis kucing, muntah terus. So you kata alah mengada-ngada. Some people, some in the family, you can't do that, so you give them other tasks. So accept their weaknesses, accept their strength. This is about relationship, and qualities, and also their interests. So basically everyone, if there is a conflict, conflict, basically you embrace the conflict in a positive manner. So acknowledge each other punya accomplishment, and always kata, it's a good thing that you've done this today. It's a good thing. Always sentiasa beri pujian kepada ahli keluarga kalau boleh. Kalau salah, janganlah muji juga. And I always get this fact, because sometimes there's always like in the family, Rizwan, I'm sure that there's always like rasanya macam mama sayang dia lebih, mama tak sayang aku, kurang sikit, things like that. But I feel that whatever it is, parents, it's also quite difficult sometimes for parents, because parents ni kadang-kadang dia akan, especially when they age, they will tend to be sort of not to say closer, but maybe to the children who always tanya khabar. Because children yang nampak di muka yang tanya khabar kan, but then it does not mean that they don't love you. Ni yang kadang-kadang kata, I always feel that because I'm a second child, I don't get love as the first child or the third one. Ni kan. So basically these are the how do I say, the challenge that the parents have to go through on making sure that the child ataupun in the family, every child feels that they are loved. Itu orang kata kasih sayang yang tidak berbelah bagi. Ni important. Macam mana kita nak ni? That's why it's important that while doing, sometimes you have some people say ni anak daddy, ni anak mami, ni anak mama, yelah anak mama, ni anak papa kan, yelah anak papa dia, macam tu kan. So it's like with the eyes and like that, that kind of thing. Okay, I suppose it's okay to, because as long as the children acknowledge, it's okay. It's not that the parents do not love them, tapi you dah label dah macam tu. So basically sometimes when you talk about the achieving healthy family dynamic ni, it is important that as family member kita accept our own kekurangan, the strength and the weaknesses. So even parents have their weaknesses, so parents tend to also, so basically the children boleh tegur. To me, if you feel that your mother or your father is actually going towards the wrong direction, ataupun you can actually maybe I'm also getting bigger, maybe can we just sit down and talk about it. Talking is important. Talking tu bukan menjerit-jerit, berbincang. So sometimes when you feel that you can't take it anymore, it's also okay to say, I'm sorry that at this point of time I'm feeling so down and I don't think I can discuss this at this point of time, but can we do it another time? I just need some space. So basically respect each other punya personal. I just want to touch about it. Give time to your spouse lah kalau dalam family. Sometimes some time alone. Sometimes kan dia nak pergi jumpa kawan dia, tak boleh, kena berkepit aja, tak boleh. Do not snoop around your children punya things, your teenagers punya things, they don't like it. Okay, don't snoop around. You want to snoop around, you ask permission. And even if a parcel, we've had like, families are complaining that every day masuk lah Lazada ke, Shopee every day, as small as one package. Don't open it. Don't open your children's letter. You ask permission. You've got phone, kan? You've got WhatsApp. I'm worried about what is the content of letter. Can I open it? You can ask. But even then, sometimes we wait for the people to come back. You don't snoop your into. Do not go and baca all your teenage punya messages lah, apalah, sibuk sangat nak baca. But you tell them. These are some of the things I hope that you are not doing. You can speak to your teenagers. You can speak to even about things like watching pornography. These are some of the things that is not of healthy habits. So that's why I say parenting is important. In a healthy family dynamic, you need to, bukan kata you need to portray a very macam bagus punya role as parent. No, we have also our weaknesses as parents. Kita bukan perfect. As husbands, as wife, we have our weaknesses. But basically, try to in fact show the positive communication, and basically what are the things that portrays that in a healthy family dynamic, and alone sometimes the other tips adalah mungkin in a dynamic of a family towards achieving a good relationship in a family is actually for certain children. Kalau lah that your children feel that they are left behind, you can always give them, as parents, you can always have some alone time with one individual children. Itu yang important. So kadang-kadang as a parents, you is my time up Rizwan?
No, you can still continue. It's not
okay.
done. Until
Alright. So tak apa. Alone time with parents would help your children to actually feel a little bit special, and also so sometimes kalau katakan you nak bawa, because during the conversation in the car, you can have conversations. So you can do things in your car. Kadang-kadang you kata, name me, okay, let's play this game, okay, let's name 3 things that you like to do over the weekend, and then let's pick one. So those are the things that you can actually communicate with your children. And I always feel that if you have many children, it's important to give each and everyone time alone with either the father or the mother, or even among the siblings. So sometimes for example, when I have 2 children and I have 1 boy, so it's likely that sometimes when the boy talks to the sisters, the sisters say, hey, knock first before you come in, and things like that. So basically, and you can say maybe the words and the tonation, hi, can you please knock first before you come in? That's different from, hey, excuse me, knocks first lah. Why lah? You're coming in without knocking. So something like that. Stupid brat or something like that. That's not supposed to, those kind of words are not supposed to come out, not at least, sometimes among your siblings, you do talk macam a little bit kasar-kasar jugalah. I kan kasar-kasar, but kasar-kasar yang bukan menyakitkan hati. When you talk, day, people talk like that, kan? So, basically, don't put your face in front of my face, it looks ugly. A sibling tells another siblings like that, but if the other siblings does not feel at heart, it's okay, because they tend to talk. That's how they talk sometimes, I find. So you have to have respect for each other about how they communicate. So one of the most important thing, it must be able to be communicated freely without you feeling affected emotionally, and listening. The art of listening is actually when you tend to say something, you listen first, which allows you to learn more about the other party or the other family member, and they can express their frustrations, they can express their emotions, and try when you talk in any parents lah especially, try not to interrupt when another family member is talking. Okay, and selalu kadang-kadang you always change the subject because you don't find it comfortable, which is something not right lah. So we need to actually live through that experience, and then if you don't interrupt at the end of the day, then you give your opinion. So that is how, when we talk about effective communication lah. So I've covered that a bit. So now I think in terms of a lot of things is that kalau kita cakap pasal unhealthy family dynamic, selalunya unhealthy family dynamic ni I'm how do I say, sometimes kita tengok, kita when we see if the family members are always living in a hostile environment, dari segi verbal, dari segi physical, and a home with a negative emotions, what we call as parenting, kalau kita katakan authoritative, if I'm not mistaken. Was it authoritative or authoritarian? But basically demanding. Demanding. Dia mengarah aja, Gembek, ambil air, things like that. That's your job, what? That's how you talk in a family, and then they say bangun pun lambat, satu benda pun tak buat, pegabih beras saja kat rumah ni, that kind of hostile environment. So basically this leads to emotional distress of the person who hears that sometimes, the stress is so, and sometimes whenever you are given the responsibility that you're not happy with. For example, if you're a teenage, you're given the responsibility to take care of your children, of your siblings on a daily basis. So that's one. So basically, parents need to be able to know what are the grievance of your children. They need to be able to realize, because kadang-kadang parents tak realize, because that is about, how do I say, it's the way that they are being brought. And a lot of parents also, sometimes being adults, we carry a lot of baggage and grievance. The things that has happened to us whenever we were young, we relate to now, and we transfer. It's like a transference to our family members. So it makes our family members stress. It leads to a lot of issues, like, for example, emotional issues among children and adolescents. It leads to physical issues like digestive problem. It leads to masalah urinating in bed, things like that. Benda-benda macam tu. And it also sometimes in unhealthy family system, because you don't actually listen to one another, so you tend to boil up. Whoever is receiving on the receiving part is actually boiling up their feelings inside, so they are not talking. So basically the interaction, the communication is not optimal. And how would I say, when you talk about dysfunctional family, is actually defined as a family upon which the relationship or communication is actually impaired. So impaired, and the members are not able to attain closeness. Dia tidak rapat. Dia tidak rapat. Jumpa pun tak nak. Kalau macam tu. So as they grow bigger, they tend to stray away. Masa dalam katakan sekarang ni kita ada adik-beradik, we have our siblings, we are living together, and then the unhealthy ataupun the dysfunctional family, because of that, when you can't wait to get out of that family, you're not happy to come back to that family that's dysfunctional. So basically it can pass from generation to generation to generation. Sometimes if you do not examine, if you do not solve the problem, it has been so, the root has been deeply rooted kat situ. Pasak dia dah terlampau kuat, you tak boleh, susah kita nak ubah. So it's very difficult to have a good communication between siblings when they are bigger. Okay, when they are more adult, because they are now with their own family, they even sort of block their own family with their new family member. That means anak dia, wife dia, with your family and your siblings. So because of that, it's basically passed on. So how can I say, when they meet this criteria, because of impact communication, not able to attain closeness, and also self-expression. So basically when you talk about because why does that happen is because poor communication. Satu, communication tu sendiri, they don't spend time, they have a hard time listening to each other, they don't spend time to express their feelings, they may not even talk to each other. Some of the people that I probably, not to say some people did actually explain that, I've not been talking to my sister for the past 10 years, which is sad. To me, is sad, because we are getting older. Okay. And family members, in other cases, family members often uses words that are very heartbreaking, yell at each other, tu satu, ya. And communication, I would say, unkind. So kalau kita dalam good family dynamic, the communication is a kind communication as compared to this. And then most of the time, dalam unhealthy family dynamic, as I said, we love to compare our family and other family. We don't do that. We shouldn't be doing that. Parents especially, when you have expectations on your kids, and that is how it goes back to mental health, the definition of mental health. You are pushing your kids towards something that is not of their potential. So kadang-kadang when they don't excel like your sister's children, atau they don't excel like your brother's children, niece and nephews, you get upset. Okay? And you start to compare. Why is your cousin okay? Why is your cousin successful and you are here not successful? Maths also you cannot answer. This one also fail. Things like that. So you start comparing, but instead you're not exploring into what is the strength of your child. Ni we're talking about healthy. I always believe that healthy family dynamic also comes in a two-way communication. Maksudnya, we always have to take into account what our children thinks of us. Itu important. Yeah. So, and the other one adalah also about power struggle in the family. Things like sibling rivalry. That's one also, kan. Jadi bila kita cakap those who feel they are being controlled, they probably have low self-esteem, they probably go into anxiety and maybe depression, and also anything related to past trauma. So trauma related. Sometimes some people, they are at the age of probably 50 ataupun even 47. I'm 53. I'm going to be 53 years old tahun ni, Rizwan. So basically, most of you all out there, if you're teenage, you'll probably be the age of my children. Tetapi you must remember, at our age, as you grow older, you age gracefully, you should be able to let go of whatever traumatizing things that you have gone through. If you can't let it go, get help. See a therapist, pergi talking therapy, jumpa therapist, cari psychologist, cari clinical psychologist, talk it out to someone, let it go, because sometimes when you can hold on, maybe, there are some bitter memories, yes, but you need to forgive, for the sake of yourself, not for the sake of another person. So you don't carry it out to your family, to your existing family. Because kadang-kadang bila kita macam tu, we tend to sort of bring back our grievance, and we compare, when we were young, it was not like that, why is it now our children can't take it? It's not the same, okay? It's not the same anymore. Teenagers now are not the same as when I was a teenager. Your way, your pathway, like Rizwan, your pathway and my pathway are totally different. But it does not mean that I have to take my pathway and compare it to you and expect that you cope the same way that I do. So basically, the other ones adalah, I think in family members too, we try to help each other. When we see another family in our family dynamics are actually facing struggles, you tend to help. But sometimes there's only certain things that you can do. You can only help when the person acknowledges that they have problem and they want help. So sometimes when you try to help another family member, or another family, your siblings' family, for example. Yeah, when we go into the extended family, but they themselves do not want you to help them, but you have realized that actually they are going into the unhealthy family dynamic. Not saying that you have a perfect family, no, but you know, with that kind of family, you know, the children is suffering, you know, you try to help, get help, but even then sometimes there's only to a certain extent that you can do. Okay, so help the people that probably would also want help. Try to help the people that you think may need help, you know, but sometimes you can't force. And of course, try to avoid excessive uh, criticism. Maksudnya di sini kalau kita criticize, ya, criticize lah secara konstruktif dengan membina. Jangan libatkan dengan dia punya personality, his old personality. Patutlah macam ni dulu, patutlah aku dengar kau macam ni daripada kawan kau. You're talking that to your own sibling. You know, of course it hurts. You know, so basically, when you tend to have quarrels or how do I say arguments, especially, you know, try to learn about how to handle anger at that point of time. Do not utter words that you may regret later. So think before you speak. Think before you speak, yeah. And always the other one adalah always be forgiving. In a healthy family dynamic ni, kita kena minta maaf kadang-kadang, as a mother, as a father, as a carer, as a person who is elder, kita minta maaf, yeah. So I think that's about it. So, and take care of your physical health, because mental health is also affected by physical health. So taking care of your physical health, making sure that you're healthy, kan? Eating healthy, apa, how do I say, eating healthy, exercising. Exercising ni kena buat physical activity. So basically, age is not a factor. I always believe age tu tak kira lah macam mana. Even if you have sakit lutut ke apa ke, try to do activities together with your family. So with that, I hope that I've given a little bit of my
Yeah.
sharing a little bit. It may not be my main kata apa bread and butter on the plate tu, tetapi but basically a healthy family relates a lot with good mental health. Yes.
That's very
Okay.
true.
All right.
Thank you, Dr. Anne. We do have a question from one of the viewers.
All right.
Show you a question here. So, their parents are always encouraging to communicate with them, but sometimes they communicate with their kids with a negative comment, you know. So, and she's introverted and she's aware of his communication skills, but she wants to talk to them. But how would you respond to them if they keep
Okay.
receiving this?
Maybe one of the things, thank you so much for the question. It's so relevant because I find that a lot of teenagers are facing this. You know, they try to communicate with their parents, but their parents just cut them off and saying, I'm not too sure what are the kind, maybe later, Rizwan, if you can get in touch of the person who actually asked just now, maybe can link to us. And I think one of the things that I would like to say is that you can actually be assertive in this way. Be assertive in this kind of situation, saying that, you know, yes, I understand that, you know, I do have communication skills. I'm trying to improve, but I hope as parents you help me improve. You know, by sending me for you need probably good communication does not come from the sky. Dia tak datang terus. You have to learn about it. Okay, as I would say that exposure to a lot of situations, for example, making new friends, that improve good communication. Yeah, making new friends does not necessarily mean that making semua tu jadi rakan rapat, tidak. Making new friends so that you can see more on the outside, yeah. But also telling your family that actually you need to tell your family that what they are saying is actually making you down. What they are saying that actually these are you are actually making me down. These are some negative comments. If you feel that they are not negative comments, but to me, I feel that what you are saying as parents are negative, and it is not helping me. So basically, try kalau boleh bercakap dengan ibu bapa. If you can't get yourself to talk to your parents, even for to convince them that actually what they're saying is actually giving negative comments to you, because they may think that is I have a lot of parents that are also like that. When they talk to me, they can, I cannot understand my teenage. She doesn't want to speak to me, but when she speak to me, and then I find that it's not, so I just brush them off. Something like that. But basically, I will tell the parents, you have to give time to your child, because good communication is not as easy to get. Dia bukan sesenang itu. You have to learn. You have to go for therapy. Yeah. So basically, if you're an introvert person, try as much to find someone that you trust. Be it a professional. Tell your parents that I need help on that. As parents, can you help me? Because I would help a child that wants help to improve their communication and to improve the character from being introvert. Bukanlah kata total extrovert, tapi at least to improve to being to able to express your feelings to others when you are not happy about certain things. It's important. It's important for us to actually tell. It doesn't matter what the other people think, but it's important for you to tell your parents that actually, what they're saying to you is actually not making you happy and it's not helping you. So I hope I did answer that. Okay, you can later you can Rizwan, you can link the person to me. It's okay if she needs to get any more information or any help that we can help in any way.
All right, we'll do. I'll try and link it to you. All right.
Okay.
There's so I think based on what you've said before about the question, actually it relates to the idea of toxic family. So sometimes,
Yeah.
sometimes when children tries to communicate with the parents, it's very hard for them to actually get an acknowledgement of their feelings and their thoughts. So what kind of advice would you give to these type of people in order for them? Should they move on? Should they try and find their life? Or should they try to reconnect? Should they be patient? What should they do? How should they do it?
I think okay, I would not advise that they sort of just leave the family like that lah, kan? Because I always feel that family is important, unless when you talk about parents who disown their child, that's quite harsh lah. It's not nice. And living in a toxic environment is very, very challenging, I would say, because the environment is not taken off from you. So that's me. So one of the things is that if you're a teenager, get more knowledge on how to communicate. One, okay, get more knowledge on how to actually be positive in a negative environment. So basically, if let's say find someone within, whether be it in the family member or even the closest family member, to be able to talk to them, to be able to bring some senses to the other family members who's actually causing the toxic environment. So that's one of the ways lah. So if you are an adult, I suppose you can actually, if it's too toxic for you to live inside, you need to probably move out, but do not detach your relationship, because I always feel that as a person, always remember that when the creator gives you struggles, we are also given the opportunity to find solution. So kalau kita kata derita emosi, carilah solusi. Find solution. So basically kita mungkin menderita. The more, it's like this, yeah, Rizwan. It's simple. When you exercise, your muscles becomes tougher. Your muscles become the strengthening of your muscle kan is stronger. Sama juga when you have more how do I say, challenges, more crisis that you face, yeah, you tend to sharpen your mental health, because you tend to learn of what are the things to cope. You know, how do you cope? We always have innovation in the way of coping, a lot of things, how to cope. Yeah? So one of the things that probably some people have more social support, some people have less. But it doesn't mean that when you have less social support, you are alone. Always remember that you're not alone. There will be always people out there who are caring, who would want to help. So you just have to find ways of getting help, you know, because I always believe that if there is a problem, there is always a solution. Yeah. Itu sebab kita sharpen our mental health by solving problems. So we need to be more positive. Yeah. Being positive is not easy. Yeah. And I think all these years that now we are actually facing with the COVID pandemic ni sekarang ni, and we are going into the endemic stage kan. So the previous crisis that we have had, you know, have actually taught us many things, but now dibagi lagi krisis yang lebih besar. Yeah. So sometimes it's also good to be able to look down, because when you look down, you'll find that, you know, you are blessed in many ways. So there are also more people out there who needs help, you know. And one of the things good about mental health is actually when you help another people, inshallah, your life will be made ease, inshallah. Always have that faith. So I always believe in, you know, when you have problems, you find ways to solve, put efforts, have faith. You must have faith. Ya, kena ada kepercayaan, and pray, berdoa banyak-banyak. So because at the end of the day, there are only certain efforts we can put, yes, and the rest we leave it to Allah atau we leave it to the Creator. Tetapi do not, to me, being feeling helpless and hopeless tu sometimes ada yang rasa valid, benda tu ada people yang rasa, tapi always know that you're not alone. The penyelesaian ada. Okay, so tapi the struggles that we face may sometimes be so down, you know, we are going into, it looks like as if there's no light at the end of the tunnel, ya. Tetapi I think with the effort, faith, itu sebab kita kata kita kena, communication tu kena selalu bertanya, you know, bertanya. Kalau dengan ni kita tak dapat jawapan, kita tanya macam tu. So with that, I hope that that whoever is facing struggles out there, dapat tak? Okay. Macam putus ya tadi. Okay. So we are going into the weekend. So hopefully whoever is working, continue working kan. But always know that jalan penyelesaian tu kita boleh cari, kita berusaha. So do not despair. Okay. Line kita. Okay. Okay. So find your passion and do the things that you love, and always smile. Macam tu. So your heart is aching. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess that's it for our session, and I hope. Thank you so much for actually sharing your thoughts with us. Because this sort of idea of family, is sometimes people do not realize that they're in a very bad place. Sometimes they don't realize that the place is not very supportive, and sometimes they don't realize whatever they say sometimes can hurt another person, especially their own children or even their own parents. You know, so which is a good thing that Doctor shared about this stuff. So
thank you so much, Rizwan. I think I'm also a little bit motivated because at least I see your face here rather than talking and not seeing any audience. But whoever's out there, I wish you all the best, and I wish that I pray for us to be at least, satu perkara yang susah orang nak cari adalah ketenangan. You know, your calmness of your heart, ketenangan. So kadang-kadang dalam keadaan kita dilanda macam-macam masalah pun, kita masih boleh bertenang dan bersyukur. I think then only we can move forward. Alright?
Thank you, Doctor.
Okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, finally we have come to the end part of the presentation. We would like to say thanks again for the presenters, for the informative and interesting talk, and also to the audience who have an active participation in this and continue watching our live stream. hopefully this webinar will be beneficial for everyone involved. So I hope you guys stay healthy and safe, protect yourself, and thank you for your attention. Assalamualaikum. Oh, and um, for your information, tomorrow there's going to be another talk. That'll be given to biorevolutionary people. They'll be talking about revolutionary people. They'll be talking about healthy work production, healthy workplace, and healthy mind as well. So you check that out, and I hope you have a good day, and thank you for watching.